Morgan.
Tutorial time
with Nina. Even though I can't take credit because I'm not the first person to do this. Hey, welcome to this video, my love. Today we have a different video. Different kind of video, because today we are going to talk about the elephant in the room, the tent in the room, if you will, because I have been getting tons of questions about the new island sushi that we are currently working on. I should stop waving with my hands because you have seen two builds, I think, right now, and you have seen me terraform while my resident services is still the small tent that you get when you start a new island. Today I'm actually going to walk you through the entire process because I have actually made a website showing all of the steps that you need to go through to recreate how I achieved to do this. This is nothing that requires a hacked switch. This is all within Nintendo limitations. The only thing that you do need is a second switch, sadly. However, I do have a few thoughts on that, and maybe I have found a way how you can still do this, but I'm going to touch on that towards the end of the video alongside some other final tips and tricks that I have noticed while I was doing that. But I think with all of that with all of that babbling out of the way, it is time to get right into it. Okay, here we are on the YouTubes, because I'm also going to show you where you can find this website. It's underneath of all of my videos, and it's also going to be leading directly to that tutorial and the upcoming videos of this island. Here you have the video description, and under the custom design code section, you have the link to the website where you could find all the codes. Now, we have this additional button. If we're going to click it, I made it a subsection just in case we were to add different tutorials if we have something else coming up. The essence of this trick is that you move an existing character onto a new island that can already do all the stuff that you need them to do to terraform and stuff like that. So on this website, we have the header, and then I made a little bit of a checklist of like the can and can'ts that you will get with this trick. So for example, you can't move houses, you can't build inclines or bridges. Apart from the bridge starter kit that Tom Nook gives you, I'm not exactly sure when he will give it to you, but there's definitely a way. I'm going to update you on when I place my starter bridge kit, so just keep the looks out for my upcoming videos. I'm gonna update you on how you can do that. And then there's a few other things that like Sibyyle would usually walk you through, like the ordinances, the island flag or tune. You can't access any of those if you want to do this method, because again, we don't have the building, so we only have Tom Nook, and he doesn't even have his to counter thingy. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'm going to walk you through the entire method, and then I will talk a little bit more about additional tips and tricks. Okay, if we are here, you are already in the tutorial section. So this is a step-by-step guide, and I color graded everything so that you know what you need to do on which switch. So we have the blue one, which is the old one. It doesn't have to be an old one. And we have the red one, which doesn't have to be a new one. I just titled them that way so that we can, follow along easier. First up, what you want to do is you are going to grab your old switch. That is a switch where you already have an island. So you have an island with at least one rep. So one character that you are playing, and you are going to add a second character. If you already have a second Nintendo account linked to your Switch, that is the best way that you can do this. If not, I'd recommend getting a second Nintendo Online account. Ideally, the one that you are going to use on the new Switch, on the red Switch, because the user is going to move over to that switch, so you want to match the Nintendo Online account. So you're basically just going to open the game, you're going to click on your Animal Crossing account, and then you will click the plus button, and it's going to give you the option to create a new user or import one from an existing Switch. I'd say create a new user. I haven't tried the one below, because you can just log in to an existing account if you already have an account. So do whatever you think is best. I'm sure that there are tutorials on that as well, because I have only tried the upper one to create a new user. Then the next step is to open the game with that new user, and you're going to create a new character. You all know the sequence with Timmy and Tommy guiding you through the entire thing. They're going to ask you for your biological gender, for your look, so like hairstyle, eye color, stuff like that. Then you're going to be popped out on your plaza on that existing island, on the blue switch that we already have an island on with another rep. This is also very important because if we're going to move this character that we are just creating over to another switch, that character can't be an island representative because the island representative is tied to the island. So it has to be at least a second or like a third, fourth, an additional character on an existing island so that we can later then move it over to the other switch. Tom Nook is basically going to walk you through the entire thing. He's going to tell you, place your 10, do whatever you need to do. You can do all of that, and then you will need to grind the out of Nook miles, because this is the most essential part, and this is also why we are doing this method, because you now want to unlock your terraforming permits, your pocket expansion packs, your custom design portal, basically everything from the Nook stop. I would recommend getting everything that you think you might need, because you never know what is going to pop up in your Nook stop on the new island in the tent resident services. I am super unsure what will show up after the 2.0 update, so I'd recommend just getting everything that you may need, just so that you're not gonna regret, missing out on something and then you can't get it anymore. So take your time here. Really take your time. It might take a few days. It's going to be worth it in the long run. I also forgot to mention that if you're planning to save your dream address of the completed island, of the island that we're currently planning or preparating, I'd recommend to dream of an island on your existing island while it's still on the blue switch, just so that you already know who Luna is and you already know the whole procedure, like your rep knows it. Because I've talked to someone and they had issues with uploading their dream address before they placed down the 4th or 5th housing plot. So I'd recommend just doing that on the old island before you actually move over your character. And then within that whole grinding for Nook miles section, I want to touch on custom designs, because there are two different ways that you can get custom designs on your new island. The main difference between them is that with version A, so the blue version here, you won't need to have the Able Sisters shop on your new island, because I guess if you want to keep res services in the tent, you might want to have as few buildings as possible, so you might not want the tailor's shop, or you can get them on your new island after we've moved over your character by getting the tailor's shop. I've done option B because I didn't know any better. So option A is that you are going to get all your custom designs on the existing island on your blue switch. So in my case, that was Milk. I moved my character that is now on Sushi to Milk, started a new character over there on Milk, grinded for that character to get all the permits and stuff like that. And then I could have gotten all my custom designs on that island. That would mean, though, that I would have had to overwrite all the codes that I had already saved for Milk to my custom design slots, and I would have needed to re-download them after I've moved off that character to the new island. You can definitely do that though. You just need to be really sure that those are the custom designs that you need, because if you want to exchange them, you can either find a dream address that has a custom design portal that you really want some codes from. It's just really difficult to find those, or you can get the tailor's shop. You can always get the tailor shop if you feel like you want to change up your theme and you need all the new codes and stuff like that. That's totally possible. You can just talk to the Able sister that always comes to the plaza. You're going to talk to her and you're going to buy some stuff from her, I think like two or 3 days. And then she's going to eventually ask you to place down her shop somewhere, and you can place it. I placed it on the beach just to get it out of the way, and I'm going to block it off. And then we have section or option B, I guess, where you can get it on your new island. So you're just going to unlock the Able shop, like I just said, and you can just get your custom design codes that way. And I believe that the custom design code redemptions do pop up even in the small resident services tent. I'm not sure though, don't hold me to that. I'd still recommend getting everything before you even move off your character. That was just a quick intermission about the custom design codes, so we can move on now. Because I hope that in the meantime that I have explained all of the custom design slots, we have hopefully gotten it ready and you have done all your grinding, you've gotten all your permits, all your Nook stop redemptions that you might want. and then it's time to start the new island. So you are going to grab your other switch, the new one, the red one in my case, so the one where I now have my island sushi on with the small resident services tent. And to start the moving process, you are going to grab that switch, start up an island like we would. Timmy and Tommy are going to run in and they are going to welcome you. Eventually, you will get an option where they are going to say something along the lines of, is this your first time participating in the Deserted Island package? And you can either select that yes, it is, or you can say that you are moving, and you will want to select that you're moving, because here is where the moving process truly starts. I won't really go through the entire moving process because Timmy and Tommy are going to walk you through the entire thing, and they are going to do it in time. So whenever you need to do something, they're going to tell you, do this now. So just stick to what they are saying, and eventually they are going to ask you to also start the transferring process on your other switch. So where you want to grab that resident from that you are trying to move onto your island. So from your home screen, you're going to open that game. I just opened it so that we don't need to wait as long on the waiting screen. And then in a second, we will see the Animal Crossing logo and the welcome screen. So you will see some residents run around, or like the plaza or something like that. And then lovely starting screen with my disgusting outdoor storage. And then you are going to hit the minus button on your controller, which is going to give you the settings. And then Tom Nook is going to greet you. Now, I can't really walk you through the entire process now, but I'm going to show you which option you need to click first. So he's going to tell you what exactly he can do. And then you are going to click move to a new island. He's going to give you a few disclaimers then, and he's going to basically say, I can't move an island rep, I can't move someone who's linked to a Nintendo Switch Online account. I didn't really get that point because my account was linked to a Nintendo Switch Online account. But then if you have started this process with the new character, not your first character, the new character that we just created, you can click move to a new island and then move myself. There are two options, like move someone else or move me to a new island, and you're going to click that, and Tom Nook is going to also start up a process where he's going to walk you through the entire thing, kind of like Timmy and Tommy doing. And then eventually both of them are going to ask you to transfer your data, and they're going to start up a little loading screen like we kind of know. And then after a few seconds, maybe a minute or so, on both screens, it's going to say that the transfer has been completed. Once that screen is there, you can close out of your game on the blue switch. I would wait a second until your character is actually there and the moving process, like the welcome sequence, continues on Timmy and Tommy's screen, just to make sure that your character has really moved. And then you can close your old switch, and we won't need that anymore today. So now you can start your new island. You're going to select a map. You can fly over to your island. Now, I know that most people love to re-roll island maps because it's very difficult to find a map that we like, an airport color that we might maybe even care about, the starter fruit and the starter flower. But most importantly, you should pay attention to your starter villages, because you can't change those if you want to keep your resident services in a tent. So you really want to make sure that you like them. And how you do that is you're just going to close out of your game. If you arrive on your island, like I kind of wonderfully drew here, you see that you don't, let's say you don't like Lyman, even though, okay, how can you not like Lyman? No, but if you don't like a resident rep, you can just close out of that game, return to your home screen, close the game with the X button, select close, and you can then just reopen the game. Nothing is going to happen. I was terrified when I did that, and I messaged one of my mods. It is safe to do that, because if you then open up the game again, it is going to give you a little screen with a pop-up. It's kind of like a beigey color, which is basically going to say, hey, I think we were in the process of moving someone over. Let's continue where we left off. So you can then just go through the process of selecting your hemisphere, your island again, and you can do that however often you would like until you have found the map and the starters and everything that you're looking for. And then once you're there, you are all set. You can now go through the Tom Nook tutorials. So you want to, set up your tent and your villager's tent. With that come a few disclaimers here before placing everything and completing too many tasks. be careful. I have a few last tips here. So first of all, the housing plots. I've already kind of briefly touched on that. I personally think that I'm only going to have 2 villagers on this island. However, I believe that you could potentially place all 5 villager houses. The only issue that that's going to give you is that I think that after you've placed the 5 housing plots, like you have the 2 starters and then the 3 additional housing plots that you need to furnish, you know, with a little box in front and where you need to also place some items in front of the house. I think the day after or a few days after, Tom Nook is going to introduce Sibyyle to you, which does mean that the resident services tent is going to upgrade to the plaza. So be careful with that. I would recommend, if you want to have more villager houses, maybe place the 2nd and the 4th and wait with the 5th until you are done with the island and you don't need to time travel anymore, just to be safe that nothing is, you know, going to upgrade. And that way you can also do a little bit more villager hunting, because you wouldn't be able to do any villager hunting if you only keep 2 villagers. But I really like that because that gives you more space to terraform. Secondly, Nook's Cranny. I know that so many people love to keep Nook's Cranny in the small version, and it's very easy to keep it that way if you have access to treasure islands or a friend who can bring you stuff constantly, or you really want to grind for stuff. But the best way is just a treasure island, because how are you going to get your island if you can't order them? Because if you want the Nook's Cranny shop to stay small, you can't spend or sell items worth more than 200k. So be careful with that. It happened to me before that I just sold a bunch of gold and then my Nook's Cranny upgraded because I didn't know that selling also counts into that, but it does. And lastly, Blather's Museum. You can place Blather's Museum whenever you're ready to, because since you don't need to unlock terraforming now, you can just terraform, and whenever you're sure where to place it, you can just start donating like 15, I think, critter or creatures in general to Tom Nook. Then he's going to get the phone call from Blathers and he's going to tell you, oh, my friend Blathers wants to come over. Would you like to place his tent? And you can then just place his tent wherever you have prepared the area, and it's going to stay there. I'm not sure if you can upgrade the museum without having resident services upgraded. So I'd be careful with that, but you can definitely have Blather's tent, which I'm also probably going to do. And then one last thing I have yet to talk about is what I've mentioned right in the beginning of this video. If you don't have a second switch, maybe you have a friend who can help you out, because you can just ask them either to borrow you the switch for like 2 or 3 days, or you can ask them to add a second character to that switch, ideally using your Nintendo Switch Online account. If you just give them the login data or so, and then you can, whenever you're ready or they are ready for the villager to move over because they have gotten all the permits or you have gotten all the permits for that villager, you can prepare your switch where you maybe restarted your island and you can move them over. I'm not sure how it works, you know, over distance, but maybe if they can come over. So, but there's definitely a way to do this if you don't have a second switch, you just need someone with a switch. Sadly, I haven't found a way to do it with just one. But I think that's all I have for you today, my dear. So that was basically my method. We have it all on the website. The only thing is that it's not really accessible on mobile. You can access it on mobile, but it looks like absolute shit. I'm grinding to get it done so that you can actually follow along without getting a stroke from all the colors and text popping up everywhere. But essentially you can also follow this on mobile in a few days. But we have this video walking you through the entire website. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you like Animal Crossing content, I upload speed builds or let's plays every Tuesday and Friday. And I am live here every Thursday. I'm also on Twitch, where I'm live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. So if you'd like to wiggle yourself in there, we always love to have new people and meet new friends. And with that, I'm going to leave you for today. Yeah, take care of yourself, my dear. Bye.